Dupes will not last, and I'm going to tell you why. Welcome back, everybody, to Joel the Nose. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for subscribing, for liking. If you like this video, you can share it, you can like it, and of course, if you're not subscribing already, I welcome you to join my channel. And today's video is about dupes, and I've been talking about them recently because dupes are a huge trend in the fragrance world right now, mostly in the last couple of years because of TikTok and the explosion of young influencers on TikTok, 20s, 30s, early 30s that have, basically have the experience of like a high school freshman when it comes to fragrances and perfumes, but all of a sudden, because whatever reason, they get really popular and they explode and they, talk about certain fragrances on TikTok. This doesn't really apply to YouTube as much. It's interesting. Go look at some of the influencers who've exploded on TikTok that have hundreds of thousands or even millions of subscribers or viewers versus YouTube, and they have like maybe less than 10,000 or 15,000. It's very interesting because it's harder, and I know this from experience, to get long form views on channels like YouTube where you're actually talking intelligently and with experience versus just shocking videos, dancing, or 60-second clips. And I'm, by the way, not disparaging those people. All for it, man. Whatever you can, however you can make money and however you can get influence and however you can take off, more power to you. But I'm just saying, after analyzing this all, it's very interesting to see how certain forms of social media really gravitate towards people with almost no experience on this. They're just, good at talking shit, I guess. And that's, hey, that's popular culture, so that's all cool. But this video is really about dupes, and this is what I want, a point I wanted to bring up about dupes. And I've talked about dupes before, how I think they suck, and I do think they suck. And again, caveat, I understand why people are into them, especially this kind of, not even millennial, it's Gen Z, which is people who basically they don't want to pay the high prices, and I get it. High prices for both designer and niche fragrances, and I'm going to put really the blame on designers, because designer fragrances now, a lot of them are over $200 more than super quality niche fragrances. So designer fragrances, I think, have tried to creep into the niche world with their very unniche, very common, basic as fuck fragrances that they then sell through extreme marketing expenses, which almost 90% of the cost of that fragrance, or 80%, is basically marketing. It's not the juice, it's marketing, not like niche fragrances who spend more on the juice. But again, I digress. So I understand why people are like, okay, I don't want to spend $200 on Dior Sauvage Elixir, so I'm going to spend whatever, $40, $50, $30 on one of these dupes. Get it. Totally understand it. Not having a problem with why people are frustrated with the high expenses of fragrances. But, and I'm not going to get into a whole diatribe about why I think dupes are bad, because again, I think it is stealing. They've found a loophole under the law where you can't trademark or copyright fragrances and smells or patent those smells. So because of that, they've been able to essentially steal the artistic integrity of people who have spent years studying and creating these amazing fragrances. So again, I think it's BS, but it is what it is. This is my point for today's video. I think this is going to be a short-lived trend because it blew up on TikTok. Yes, dupes have been around for many years, really since Club de Nuit Intense Man really became famous as a dupe of Creed Aventus, and you can go into a number of other houses and fragrances that have gone on since then. But think about this. Dupe houses have a short lifespan because they can only copy what's popular. So they've already come out now in the last 10 years and basically copied all the big selling designer niche fragrances. So they're now limited. They basically have to wait every time a new release comes out to see whether it's going to be popular and then dupe it. So I think that this is basically, as you know, the old term says, it's a dive for the short in cash. You're not looking at the long term. If I'm a dupe house, I'm saying, okay, maybe I get into this originally this way by copying, but now I'm creating my own unique fragrances and I'm paying great perfumers to come in and actually make real fragrances on our own. There are some that may be starting to do that, but most are not yet. And I don't think that they're gonna survive. I think this is gonna blow up like a bubble, like a real estate bubble, like any other TikTok trend that's good for a year or two, or maybe even 3, and then boom, it blows up. Because it's blown up right now. When I say blown up, it's gotten very popular, it's gotten very trendy, it's gotten very viral because of all these TikTok influencers have gone into that and then just basically, look, they're taking a lot of money from the dupe houses. And again, I have no problem with that. Man, if you can get paid by these dupe houses, God only knows what they're paying them. You know, a lot of these brands, you see it, they're flying them to Dubai, they're paying for this, they're doing that. Great. Free enterprise, capitalism, love it. No problem with any of that. But I do think, and I will say this to the reviewers and people out there, you are taking the short-term cash. Okay, you're taking the dive for the short-term cash. You're not thinking long-term. What happens when these dupe houses blow up and this trend goes away, and then you have to go back and try to talk to these niche houses or these designer houses, and they're like, we don't want anything to do with you because you literally have been promoting these brands that have been copying and stealing from us for years now and making a lot of money off it. And when they're blow up and they're gone, or there's only 1 or 2 left, and you have all these influencers who can't all make money off just a few dupe houses, what's gonna happen to the whole fragrance community? So I do think everyone needs to take a little step back. I've been in business, and the reason why I say this, because I come from knowledge, I come from experience. I've run my own business now for 25 years, and I've had multiple businesses. My dog's falling down. My own law firm. I've had tech startups. I've run a bunch of different things. Some failed, some succeed. Okay, that's business, that's life. But what I have learned, that if you take that quick cash for that quick influx, which I get it, because people who've never really owned their own businesses, who started their own businesses, and they're coming from other industries, and they don't quite get it, and they're like, oh, they're you know, I get it. Like all of a sudden, some dupe house is like, hey, let me give you all this money, and let me do all this, let me give you that. I totally get it. But my caution is long-term, think about it. Think about, from the dupe house side, from the influencer side, where you want to go with this. Because I think, from my own experience, this is going to be a bubble that's going to burst, like a lot of these trends, and then what happens then? Where does dupe house go after all the big fragrances have been duped? Okay? You have to wait till the next big one comes out, unless you create your own. If you're an influencer who's basically taking a ton of cash and promoting these dupe houses left and right now, what happens when that bubble bursts? And then you go back and you try to approach, say, another house, and they're like, wait a second, you literally have just been promoting these companies that have been stealing from us. So again, just my 2 cents, because I've been around a lot longer than most of the people in the fragrance community. And I'm not saying that from a, you know, whatever, judgmental standpoint at all, believe me, because there's so many great influencers, fragrance reviewers, but I'm just saying from experience, from a business standpoint, I've been around to see enough of this type of stuff happen, and I think we're in a unique situation that it's gonna be, boom. I've been in the real estate market when it burst, and everyone jumped into it and became a realtor, and everyone was making money. In the mortgage industry, this feels very similar right now to all of that stuff. And I think a lot of people didn't experience these things, and maybe they need to take a step back and say, okay, wait a second, what's going on? So that's it. I just wanted to do this video tonight because I've been thinking about it and wanted to come from a different perspective that's a little bit different from inside the fragrance community, but more from a business perspective. And I only wish the best for everybody. I don't care who you are. I want everyone to do well. I want everyone to succeed. I want everyone to live their dreams. But let's do it in a good way that I think is sustainable for everybody and for the entire industry. All right? So I'll be back soon with another video. That's my rant. And yeah, that's it. You know my saying, don't be a wimp, spray like a pimp. You know the rule, don't be a wimp, spray like a pimp.